You're listening to The Blunt Truth. Unscripted, uncensored, unwoke. Get ready to challenge everything.
Welcome to episode 12 of The Blunt Truth. Here we are going to understand what the heck is going on in Nigeria. Why does everyone think it's full of scammers? And what can we do to break this stereotype? Here with a very dear friend of mine, Kelvin Sampson.
Hey, Steve. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast, the Blunt Truth podcast. Yeah, so truth is always what I strive to live, how I strive to live my life, right? So I'm really excited to be here to talk about some truth about the Nigerian economy and negative stereotypes that we have around cybercrime and young people.
Yeah, me too. Definitely excited to
Let's share
dive
some.
in.
Yeah,
I love that you shared that. Truth is like the highest virtue, in my opinion. They say authenticity is the highest vibration, and what could be more authentic than telling the truth? And I think that we've always vibed in that way, beyond just being like systems and operations oriented entrepreneurs. We met while we were both working for a sales company called Sales Call Overhaul, maybe 6
yeah,
years ago, maybe even 7 years ago. And we both had that same initiative where like, let's just get all the conversations up that need to be had. So I think we bonded over truth telling really in the business
yeah.
world. So speaking of the business world, if I talk to any average business owner, there's like a 5% chance that if I suggest hiring a Nigerian or finding talent in Nigeria, if not a 10-15% chance in certain circles that the person will just say no. And I have never in my life, coming from Baltimore City, seen such socially accepted everyday prejudice in business circles where folks are just like, yeah, we don't work with Nigerians. We're not going to talk to them. It's just like, whoa, like, hold on, like that's a large country, right? So tell me how much truth there is to this, right? Where does the truth fall in this stereotype?
Thank you very much, Stephen, for that question. Yeah, like you said, Nigeria is a very big country. We have over 200, and I think at the last count, right? So it's a very big country, and it's just like with every large society, you have a mix of different characters, right? So you have the goods and then the bads as well. And then because Nigeria is a developing country, third world country, if you will. So it's really a struggle, right? With employment, with being able to provide the basic stuff for yourself, for your family, right? So it's really difficult as a society, right? Making ends meet is really difficult. And so I find that some young people do not have a bearing to really have alternatives for a better life, for a good hustle. So many of these people are pushed into cybercrime. Over here, we call it Yahoo, right? So these people are pushed into cybercrime, not by their making, but by the systemic problems that we have as a developing large nation, right? So where unemployment is about 33% as at the last statistics and I'm sure it's so many people have to find ways to survive, right? Because man's basic objective, the objective of man, first and foremost, is to survive, right? So yeah, people would find ways to survive. And now I'm not justifying it, obviously, but I am just trying to talk about the remote causes, right? Just to give you some numbers, it is not everybody that is criminal, is cyber criminal in Nigeria. It's just a few bad eggs, right? So I feel like the stereotype or perception internationally is blown out of proportion, really, because we have a lot of hardworking young people. Every year we have over, I think, 10 million graduates, between 6 to 10 million graduates every year from our universities and techniques. So what that means is we have an educated population. We have indeed an educated and employable population. I don't know if it's United Nations or IMF or a reputable international organization. In fact, asserted that Nigeria and Africa at large will be the future of the world's workforce. Right? So it means that many countries will turn to Nigeria for labor, really skilled labor, unskilled labor for the society to thrive. Like in the case of the UK, for instance, and Canada, they rely a lot on immigrants, right, for the economy. So we're headed towards that place. We have a lot of employable, hardworking Nigerians, right? So the stereotype is really blown out of proportion, right? So, but as they say, bad things would always eclipse good things, right? So the few bad examples we have endorse that stereotype, which I think business owners would should really be more receptive to employing. Sorry, so business owners should be really be receptive towards employing Nigerians. They would find that Nigerians are some of the most hardworking people that they would ever meet. I can speak for myself and for a lot of people that I have met. Nigerians are very hardworking. We will work till we bleed just to make sure that the company achieves its purpose and objectives. So they should really give us a chance.
Amen. And there's so much to unpack in what you said. What a fantastic introduction. I'll just say I am Turkish and I know what it means for to have that stereotype of being a hard worker. Even when I spent time in Germany, there's that dualistic stereotype where on one hand, you're a lower class citizen, and on the other hand, you are known to be good at what you do with incredible work ethic, right? So there's this like duality of the stereotype that's not really fair. And what strikes me a lot is how similar the conditions in Nigeria are to the average American city. By the way, are Yahoo boys named after the company Yahoo?
Yeah, incidentally, right? So I think at the time the Nigerian prince idea started with Yahoo scams, right? Yahoo mail scams. So just stuck. The name just stuck.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so you have the Yahoo boys and they have all different names, the ghetto boys, the boys in the corner, whatever. It's the guys that have the flashy money, the cars, the girls, the women, the sneakers, the kicks, and so forth. And you have these conditions set up where the environment is almost steering people towards these bad paths. And it is a 50-50 thing. Like, you can't blame the Yahoo boys. You can't blame the people following them. You can't blame. And so I'm curious, are Nigerians aware of Western gangster culture, Western flashy drug culture, Western crime culture? Is there are they copying it to some extent?
Oh, I wouldn't say they are copying it. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say they are copying it. I believe that every society have their own gangs or their type of vices, right? Social vices. So for the US, it's probably the gangsters and then the drug cartels, and like just like with Mexico, Colombia, it's the drug cartels. In Somalia, it is pirates, right? In the Middle East, it's terrorism, right? So we always have pockets of vices in every society, right? So I wouldn't say with Nigeria we are copying from the American page or the American book, right? That would be flattering.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, no, that makes total sense. And what you said ties into one of the big points I want to make with this episode, which is like, just like the people in the cities are stereotyped to be scary and dangerous, just like Middle Eastern people are stereotyped to be radical Islamic terrorists, just like Somalians are stereotyped to be these like wild, savage pirates of the sea. The reputation of Nigeria has a real effect, as we can see. And it seems like there's a layer even beyond the stereotype where you create a facade of it's just known for scammers, don't work with them. But then the people that want to tap into the labor pool and have like exclusive access to that talent kind of know the stereotypes BS and can do so. So that's really interesting too. Now, why cybercrime? Why is that the vice of Nigeria?
That's a very good question. Just to state this before answering the question, I am against any form of stereotypes. Right? I've seen many very great Arabs. Like I worked with one founder of Relentless. Shout out to Karim. Right, so he's one of the smartest people I know. I've met a lot of them. I haven't actually met any Arab that I would say is a deviant social. Right? Yeah. So stereotypes are not. Yeah, but one your question. So why cybercrime? Why Yahoo? Right. So like that's the thing about stereotypes. It overshadows everything. So the stereotype, being the international stereotype or the international perception of Nigeria is that Nigerians fraudsters, right? But then in the cybercrime is just becoming a pandemic. It's just becoming endemic to our society, right? But before now, we had lots of other vices that were way that were constituted greater problems for us as a society. For instance, cultism, right? We had cultism in our universities and in our streets. It was a very big problem. We also had oil bunkering. Till now, oil bunkering is a problem where theft of crude oil, people go and sabotage pipelines just to make ends meet, right? So we've had many of these. Nowadays, it's kidnapping. So nowadays, it's kidnapping people. You can be on your way to the market and you'll be kidnapped, and then you'll be made to, or your family will be made to pay millions to secure your release. So nowadays it's kidnapping, right? But what really, all of these are internal problems that really affect us. But what is important to Western countries is the fact that it's devices that we have over here that affects them, right? So that's the cybercrime. Now, why many people pick Yahoo over some of these other vices? None of these should ever be done by anybody, but why they pick Yahoo over these ones? It's because Yahoo is relatively better paying, right? So if it works out for you, your payday would be in dollars, right? And then dollars compared to naira has a very big value over here, right? So a few dollars will translate into millions for the criminal, right? And so if it happens once, you're able to sustain for a long time. And that's why you see them live flashy lives, cars, they live in hotels and stuff like that. It's because when they succeed in scamming people, they are usually, big paid, they have more than enough. And so when other young people see these guys, these criminals, right, live flashy lives, they are drawn to it. They are drawn towards it. They want to, because it's already a very tough society, right? And then if this person is doing this and is doing well doing it, and he has not been caught, right? Yeah, why? So why not? Why will I not do this? Right. So that is how come we have many people and
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple other things off the record last time we spoke about how there's also a very low barrier to entry, and I think that's true for all crimes, certainly too.
so I really, for me, it boils down to three factors, right? So what really pushes, and then so we were comparing Yahoo, right, which is internet fraud, versus tech, which is on the internet, right? So digital skills, right? So being able to have a career in digital skills. So we were comparing those two. So in terms of how many why people choose to go into crime, into Yahoo, cybercrime, as opposed to going into tech, learning a digital skill, and then getting a career, having a career in tech, is because of, I boil it down personally, barrier to entry, right? And then you have many people around that want to bring you to their fold, that want to introduce you to their syndicate. Because the larger your syndicate, the more probability that one of them would succeed and it will be a payday for the entire syndicate, right? So they need to recruit more people. They are always out membership. They also geometrically increase the probability of being successful. So that's one, low barrier to entry. The second one is people want to get rich quick syndrome, right? So young people they do not want to really put in the work, right? So they do not want to, you know how it is with agriculture where you plant, there's a planting season and then you wait till it's dry season, harvesting season to harvest, to reap what you've sowed, right? But with these guys, they want it immediately, right? So they want faster payout, right? So with tech, they find that it will take months or years to get to where you are good enough to start earning from it, right? So they do not want that. They want something that would be in a few weeks or in a few months, right? And then when it pays very big, huge payout. And then the third and the most important to me would be information, right? So you have a lot of people that are very uninformed, right? We have so Nigeria is a very rural country, right? So it means that there is limited access to information by people in the rural areas, right? So Yahoo message spreads faster because it's easier, right? And you have a lot of people doing it, right? As opposed to tech, we do not really have enough information. We do not have a town crier that goes about talking about tech. We need the government in that respect to really do more to orientate the youths, take these digital skills program to rural areas, right? Because there's a dearth of information that many people that I've talked to do not even know what tech is. Right? I struggle to explain what tech is, and I use example of, oh, you use Facebook app, it's a tech person designed the app and stuff, just trying to make draw examples that they can relate to, right? So I find that there is really a need for information, right? It's information is more available to those that would for Yahoo, so it's easy for people to join that one as opposed to tech. I hope this makes sense.
That all makes total sense. That was beautifully explained and elucidated. So I think one of the big messages here is for people to really have an open mind towards hiring Nigerians, working with Nigerians, even beyond working with you and referring my clients to you. I've worked with other Nigerians on Upwork and Fiverr, and I've never had a less than stellar experience. So being that you are on the front of this paradigm shift of inspiring the world really to take a closer look at Nigerian and create these opportunities that are so desperately needed so that this toxic culture can lose its grip on the youth, especially with the kidnapping and the worst things that are going on. We really don't want to feed that. So I'll flip the table on you and I'll ask, first of all, tell us a little bit about your organization and then tell us what your organization is doing for each of those three things. Like, what have you done to lower the barrier of entry? What have you done to disseminate that information? And whatever the second point was, you can remind us when you answer that.
That's really beautiful. So for us, I for those that do not know me, I am MD of KD Squares Limited. I'm the founder of KD Squares. So what KD Squares tend to do, or what our mission is, drive digital technology. We want to generally be the evangelist of tech education. We want we want that would recruit people into tech. We want to be a face of the drive to really educate the young people in our rural areas and in our urban areas about technology. We want to take this message, the nook and cranny of the country, all on the continent. We want to take this message that the more people that are adjusting, better. So that is for us a mission. We're taking digital technology literacy to every part of the country. That way, we are solving one of the biggest challenges, which is information, access to information, right? So that's one of the ways that we go for seminars, events, we talk about tech, and then we try to teach people how they can basically pivot into tech, right? So we provide that information. We're trying to make sure that that information is readily available to anybody that benefit from that information. So that's the first. Secondly, we're also trying to reduce the barrier to entry, right? So we want to think of it like we want to democratize the tech in general, right? We want to make it more available to people. Do not it's usually people there's this perception that tech is for the rich, right? So because we see the rich, the upper class, you see their kids with laptops and fancy laptops and then fancy people with budget. Our mission, we're making sure to really look for the most mundane tech areas, the most ordinary fields that anybody can. Virtual assistants, right? Data analytics, graphic design, these are not too difficult to do, right? They do not need you to have 5 years experience. They do not need many prerequisites, right? Canva is very easy to learn by anybody, right? All you need is a mobile phone and you're in Canva. So we want to make sure that we're reducing the barrier to entry, right? So you do not need to get a laptop first before you can get started on these things, right? So there's a lot that you can do. In fact, copywriting, writing for businesses, tech firms, that's also a skill that you can do that doesn't really require much in terms of investment for laptops or other equipment, right? So that's one of the things that one of the ways we're making sure that the barriers, right, or eliminating the barriers to end. And then for the third one, which is faster payout, I mean, we would not be able to control that one, right? So our best bet is to make sure we're giving these guys quality education, right? For the people that are part of our program, we're making sure we give them, the best education anywhere, and then get a job. We go as far as finding job placement for our students or interns, right? We go as far as getting job placement with our partner organizations, just to make sure that there is faster payout, right? So people see the dividends of their hard work as soon as. So yeah, those are the things that we're doing to help. But that is not without this problem. We have an issue of getting companies to partner. I'm blessed to have a few partners, but then, I mean, we're working on securing more partnerships because this partnership would result in more placement for our people.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things I love about what you're doing. I love the emphasis on education over recruiting, right? It's not about come work for Kelvin's company, come make Kelvin and his buddies rich. It's about we're literally giving away the farm to Nigerians. They take that information, they plug into the global marketplace, and that's a win for the greater good. I love that. I also love that you're matching the Yahoo boys with you don't even need a laptop because that's kind of their big pitch is you just need a phone. And you're doing that not only for the gig economy, but also for the career path economy. Both ways you have tracks for people that can start producing revenue in a scalable, sustainable, long-term fashion without needing a laptop. So that's pretty tremendous. And the last thing I love is the emphasis on community to community all the way to the boundaries of the continent. So it's like such a divine mission because you're working with heavenly boundaries of the continent itself and the communities within it. So this is really bigger than Nigeria, even though that's kind of the centrifuge of this stereotype.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, so, with cybercrime, we have many countries that are also suffering from cybercrime. So we have India. India is one of the countries where you have a lot of reports on cybercrime, like Pakistan as well. Nigeria is not even in the top 5 countries in terms of the number of reported cybercrime cases. It's the number of crimes that are committed by Nigerians. It's negligible compared to some of the other countries, right? So it means that, I mean, it's not restricted to Nigeria. So if this information would benefit other African countries that are struggling, then why not? We're not going to gatekeep information.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think this has been so dense and so informative, so inspiring and eye opening. What I can say to my listeners out there is if you are an entrepreneur, if you are involved in the corporate career path, professional circles, please do what you can to empower Nigerians and Africans in general so that we really can grow together. If you want to go far, you have to do it together. And I think that this is a good opportunity to get some information out there that's against all the division. And what last words would you have? What would you like to leave people with? I'll definitely put the links to your company and stuff in the show notes so that any of our African listeners can plug directly into you and get started on your assistance.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Stephen. So this is what I want to. I understand that it's not easy as a business owner to give opportunities to certain people because of what you might have heard or what you might have seen people suffer from, right? But I'll just appeal, right? I'll just make an appeal to give people a chance. Not everybody is a criminal, right? We had many people from different walks of life that turned out to be criminal. Even in Western society, they have rank and file criminals, right? So but then it doesn't impede the opportunities that they get, right? You just need to do your due diligence before you hire anybody. Check for references, just like you would with anybody else that you are employing. Just do your due diligence, check references, and then you're good to go. I can assure you that you will not have a situation where a Nigerian would want. With the way the world is set up, there's a lot of guardrails to prevent that kind of thing. It's not going to happen. It's really not going to happen. We have a lot of guardrails, OTPs. Like, I really do not see the prospect of getting scammed by your own your Nigerian employee, right? But then this is what I can guarantee that if you actually have a Nigerian on your team, right, they would work tirelessly to make sure that they help you achieve your goals, right? Your organization's objectives. They would work tirelessly to make sure that you scale, right? And they are actually the best workers hardest workers out there. Best workers. Nigerians know how to hustle. And it's rooted in our culture. We hustle, right? So yeah, it will be the best decision that you ever made. Trust me. Just you can hold me for on that one.
And look, I can vouch Kelvin has solidly for everyone I've introduced him to over the past 6 or 7 years. I don't think almost any of our listeners can actually empathize with what it would feel like or be like to where people are literally not giving you jobs, not hiring you because of the country that you're from. Actually, a lot of them can. A lot of international ones, it's not just a Nigerian thing. You're right. However, all of us can definitely do something to erode the stereotype wherever we are, wherever our reach may be. So appreciate you enlightening and inspiring, and speak soon, my friend.
Thanks for tuning in to The Blunt Truth with Stephen and Dougie. Enjoy the conversation. Join us every Wednesday for more unfiltered discussions. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your support keeps the truth coming. Elevate your journey. Connect with us on social media at blunttruthpodcast.com. Until next time, be kind, keep growing, and remember, knowledge is infinite.